I think that the Ewing world is so kind of dysfunctional and vast that there's always more space for trouble. Um, I mean, when I booked the role, I was really excited to be a part of the whole history of the show. My mother had watched it as I was growing up, and I don't know that I ever did, and I think maybe she thought it was a little bit much for her, child to watch. But now being a part of it, it's very cool. It's very cool to work alongside icons like, Patrick and Linda, and of course Larry before he passed. And the cool thing about my character is that she's not a Ewing, so she kind of doesn't have to contend with the Ewing family in terms of like how does she sort of separate herself and become a different personality, because she gets to be, she's the rival fam. She's, the Rylands now are the new Barneses in a sense. Like they get to be these evil, kind of twisted, dysfunctional people. And Emma was really cool because she didn't really know which side she fit on, and she kind of still doesn't, but she plays both sides. So that's wow. Well, if you think the Ewings are dysfunctional, you've not seen anything with the Rylands. I mean, every script I get is just it gets worse. I mean, worse in the best possible way. More and more and more. I mean, especially when they brought in Judith Light to play Judith, the matriarch of the Ryland family. She's so delicious in how she does everything, and they write her so well. And Harris is pretty much on the bad side. I mean, he's such a complex character as well, because he has this profound sort of love for Anne that I don't think ever really went away, and was kind of manipulated greatly by Judith. Emma, being the product of both Anne and Harris, I mean, you've got like literal good and bad in your gene code, and she doesn't know. But I think she grew up in a place where she didn't really know unconditional love. It was very conditional in a lot of ways. And so in her coming into her own femininity and her own womanhood, she wants love, but she only knows how to get that through power. And I think that can be a really dangerous thing, as we've seen from all of the years of Dallas. Power makes you do sort of very questionable acts, and you're not going to be getting the Emma who rides horses this year. I'll just say that. You're going to be getting a very different Emma.
Well, she seems to be very sexualized, and she uses it kind of as a weapon.
Like, what do you mean? Oh.
Why do you think she's using that as like a go-to kind of tool?
Well, again, I think Judith has a lot to do with that. I think that her example of a woman growing up was Judith, who is also very sexualized in a sense. Like, even though she's of an older generation, she's still, it's very, women, and I'm a hands-on, feminist. I think women are great, and I think that we have a lot more than just our sexual wiles. But we have that. That is kind of one of our strengths. And I think that in this world especially, that's kind of what Emma learned, is that she can use that to get into the weaknesses of some men around her. It's keeping your head above that and not allowing that to sort of define who you are, or get rolled into it yourself and thinking that that's that what you're using is actual love, or that's all your worth is using that. But I think that she knows that there are certain people in the world that she lives in who are attracted to her, and so she's going to exploit that, because then she gets what she wants. Everyone is very enthusiastic. Yeah, it's been a wonderful reception in Dallas. That's one of the cool things about shooting in Dallas, actually, because we're here, and everyone knows we're here, and everyone's really happy to have us, I think. And I mean, when we go out, especially when I go out with Brenda or Julie, or Josh, obviously, that's a whole other, let's just not even talk about that. He's just a magnet. But, when I go out with Brenda, Brenda and I hang out a lot, and she's this beautiful, Amazonian, tall, lithe woman anyway, so she gets stares no matter what, even if she wasn't, like, a famous actress. But then on top of that, being in Dallas and having her be on the show and being my mom, people usually notice her first because of her height, I think. They'll be like, oh my gosh, and then they'll look at me and they'll be like, oh wow, and it's a really cool reception. Yeah, it's great. It's better than having people be like, oh, whatever. I think everyone loves the show here, which is great.